Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So when I got the invitation to give you a little bit of a snapshot of the Oklahoma City Zoo's digital strategy and digital activities, I mean, we could go in a million different directions. So we're going to touch on almost a little bit of everything from social media to paid media to technology in general. And is digital technology a good thing, a bad thing? So I'm going to keep this very loose and informal, but I also want to give you some context to the zoo. So I'm not sure if everybody can see this, but I'm going to go pretty fast. Oh, here we go. Oh, what is this? So this is a video that was taken in October of a baby Asian elephant. Her name is Kai. She is getting her daily bath. At this point, she's 2 months old, and they have an inflatable pool for her here. You don't have the sound here, but we did not do music overlay to this video. It's just it's a short minute. She's being silly in a pool, getting a lowdown of how it's all working. And as of this morning, it's got 94,000 views. So we did not pay to boost this. It just is organic. People watch it over and over and over again. Why wouldn't you? It's kind of fun. This sort of video, I think, is kind of the bread and butter of our social media platform at the Oklahoma City Zoo. It's cute, it's quick, it's fascinating. We've also discovered that the videos that have a music overlay to it don't perform as well as those that are just raw, where you hear kids screaming in the background or strange animal noises. That sort of animal vocalization is fascinating, and more people find it authentic and interesting, and they're more likely to watch it twice. So it's an interesting insight that we've learned the hard way. We thought the more produced these videos would be, the better, the slicker. No, people actually like it real. So, little history on the zoo, in case you didn't know. We were established in 1903. We were originally located just south of the river, kind of where the big Ferris wheel is. That in Wheeler Park, that's where the zoo used to be. But the river flooded so many times that they decided to relocate it over into Lincoln Park, which is where it's at now. It was relocated in the, I think in the 20s, not 1932. The first animal was a white-tailed deer at the time. It seems like a boring animal to have at the zoo for your first. It was incredibly rare at the time. It was almost hunted to extinction, and so it's a great success story that the zoo and conservation efforts overall was able to bring this sort of everyday animal, you would think, from the brink back. Over 203 acres, that is the zoo's property line. The zoo has only developed 130 acres. So a little trivia, the zoo owns the land underneath Remington Park. So we lease that as well as other surrounding areas. So there's a lot of room for growth at the zoo. In September, we had the first expansion to the zoo. It's an 11-acre habitat called Sanctuary Asia. That was the first expansion to the zoo in decades. You probably are familiar with Cat Forest and Great Escape and Aquaticus in the 80s. That was in the zoo's footprint, so this was the first expansion to it. Over the next 10 years, we're going to be doing a lot more reinvention and reimagining of the zoo's existing habitats. In fact, we'll show you a few of those in a second. So our mission, everything that we try to do is connect people with wildlife and wild places. It sounds pretty simple, but you'd be surprised at how many zoos get caught up in programs and promotions that actually don't deliver on this. A really good example of that is Haunt the Zoo. So how many of you have been to the original Haunt the Zoo? It was at night for kids. Oh my God, right? So it's the state's oldest and largest trick-or-treating event. 40,000 people, of which 10 to 12,000, depending on the year, buy the trick-or-treat bags. It's over 1 million pieces of candy. It's crazy. But at the time, for 34 years, we had it at night. Huge lines, 6 nights in a row. Kids came in, they did the loop, and they'd leave. They never saw an animal. Why are we doing this? We don't even emphasize animals or conservation at any touch point, so we switched it. It's now during the day. Kids can take the time, they can see the animals, take a break. Some of them are double dipping, they're doing the double loop. We can't, whatever, God bless. They're seeing the animals and having a better time, and it's a better experience. So that's an example of how we use our mission statement as an edit point to everything that we do, and you'd be surprised at how many things we come up with sound cool, they don't deliver. New construction. So this is a bit of an eye chart, but if you're familiar with the zoo, and this is an excerpt from our map, we have 4 big projects coming up, and they all kind of fit together. So if you're familiar with the children's zoo, in one of the playground areas, we're actually building a new Galapagos tortoise habitat. So the Galapagos tortoises, if you're familiar, are in the old 1950s mid-century modern building where the hippos are, the PaidEarned building. Very cool building, but we're moving the turtles out. And so that groundbreaking happens this May or this summer, and it should be complete before the end of the year. Next, in front of the Herbitarium building, which is the oldest building at the zoo, and there is an old 1920s mural in the basement that has dinosaurs on it. Go figure. It's not available to the public, but one day we'll give you a tour. Out in front, we are reimagining that to be a wetlands herpetarium garden. So you can see turtles and fish all outside of the herpetarium building. Very cool. Again, same timeline in which we'll break ground late this summer, and it should be open by next summer. Then, if you're familiar with the Sea Lion Show and the Aquaticus building, cordoned off, you can't even go back there, are old 1930s WPA era grottos. Huge grottos, about maybe 20 feet by 40 feet. In the 80s, I think that we had some bears there. They sealed those off, and what we're doing now is we're actually uniting 4 of those habitats into a huge condor habitat. So part of the vision is that you can actually see them fly from one end to the other. It's a great entertaining and education space. That will also be where the Zacharitz Azalea Garden will be. So it's a whole new event space. Technically, it's not an expansion to the zoo's border. It's just a part of the zoo that we've kind of closed up and we're reopening. That will be open by next summer. All these moves, we're moving things out of the way because next year we're breaking ground on Expedition Africa. This is like a 23 million plus reinvention of the zoo right in the middle. So right when you walk into the zoo, right where the PaidEarned building is, we're repurposing that mid-century modern building into perhaps an event space. One of the ideas is maybe you can walk out those windows and feed the giraffe. So the vision is to move the giraffe over, and you'll have a group upwards of maybe 10, 12, 15 giraffe. A group of giraffe trivia is called a tower, right there. So it will be, I think this is the other piece that is interesting with the zoo. Most zoos are reinventing themselves into continents where you would find the animals as opposed to categories. So instead of putting all the hoof stock, which is an actual term, or pachyderms in one area, they're actually making it more representative of the countries that they are native to. So the reach that the zoo has in terms of digital and attendance, we have over 1 million attendees every year. We have Zoo Friends members, which is one of the largest nonprofit membership organizations in the state, more than 33,000 membership households. This is a huge group of people that are advocates for the zoo. And social media, as of this morning, we had 115,000 Facebook follows. Instagram is almost 46, Twitter's more than 34,000. We have a newsletter we'll touch on a bit that has 73,000 subscribers, and now it was scrubbed. So we used to have 82, so now we have 73. And the open rate is pretty spectacular. 15% open rate, 8% click-through. That's kind of a high for any email. So I don't delete it, I open it. In terms of the numbers, what is 1 million? That is every OU home game, every OSU home game, every Thunder home game, and then some. Sold out arenas. It's a large amount of people that are coming to the zoo. Who are they? Where are they coming from? So this is a bit of an eye chart, but you can see the outline of the state of Oklahoma. We collected zip codes from the last 6 months of 2018, and it kind of shows up. Obviously, a lot are in the metro, but also large concentrations in Amarillo, Dallas, Fort Worth. They already have 2 great zoos, but still people are coming up. Tulsa has a great concentration. They also have a great zoo. And Wichita, interesting. These were ideas for us to figure out how best to advertise outside of the usual Oklahoma City markets. If you look at the national map, they're coming from all over, which is interesting. Again, this doesn't show Alaska or Hawaii or even international. So we're getting a lot of international people coming to the zoo, which is, again, pretty awesome. For us, this is valuable information for us to target our advertising to on a digital and radio basis and outside. 2019 goals, 3 big ones. 1, attendance. So we want to pass the 1.1 million, pretty simple. 2, revenues. Revenues tied into attendance, we'll get into that in a second, but we generate revenues through admissions, and we have general admissions, we have premium experiences, it's all to us admissions. Events, besides Haunt the Zoo, we have other events that we're coming up with. We'll talk about those in a second. Food, beverage, concessions, gifts. The duck food machines at the zoo, a quarter at a time, netted $22,000 last year. The sheer volume of people, and that's low. The MoldArama machines are stunning. The vending machines, yeah, the MoldArama's the first gift shop, and we didn't have a gift shop, so you can make a souvenir by super popular. And then conservation. So we have round up your spare change. With every transaction, it goes to conservation. Last year, for 2018, it was $127,000. So pennies add up. Yes?
How did the, are you talking about the pennies that you smashed, or are you talking about the plastic? Because I want to know how many pennies that you smashed.
The penny smashers? Yeah. So if you're not familiar, I'm going to go down into a nerd hole. There are 5 penny smashers machines. Each machine has 5 different molds. You spin it for 51 cents, go figure. You get a penny in, 50 cents. You only get the penny back, and then you can't. We're looking to replace all the molds on them. Those, it's a split revenue. We don't own those machines. I think we made 9,000.
I always get one every time I go to the zoo.
Yeah. Super, even more nerdy is that we have collectors ask us, I didn't send money, we would like a whole penny smasher collection, but we would like polished pre-1981 pennies. What? The copper content on pennies before 1981 is richer, so it's a beautiful patina. It really lifts the impression of the molds as opposed to nerd. Okay, so moving on. Current conservation leadership, the goal for next year is no more plastic. So the Starbucks we don't have lids. The straws, they are made of the material that evaporate. No more lids, no more plastic bags. We're trying to figure out how to get rid of the vending bottles. Maybe we do like the Tulsa Zoo, go back to cans. The bottles of water go back to cartons of water. So it's a goal. It's pretty ambitious. We're also looking at increasing the number of dollars that we give to conservation programs locally and globally, and also exploring the idea of a lecture series. So Cocktails for Conservation is a working title, but we would bring in world-renowned experts on conservation from Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund to International Rhino Foundation, Bindi Irwin. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. The volume. 50% of that volume comes in 14 weeks. It is spring break through the beginning of summer. It's a massive amount of people that come in. It's a beautiful time to come to the zoo. So is October, and so is early November, just FYI. But this is the actual paid attendance and membership attendance by month spiking. It's a little bit weird. What happened in April, we'll talk about it in a second. But overall, 2018, our goal was, we fell short of our attendance goal. How did that happen? This is a bit of an eye chart, but overall 2018 attendance compared to 2017, we've broken it down into paid full price admission, discounted admission, like you got a coupon, free admission, which we're trying to pull back on, and membership. So overall, the numbers were down year to year, but only in some areas. Full price admission was down 2%, membership is down 7%, which is okay. Discounted and free admission is down pretty dramatically. That's by design. So we had over-couponed, over-promoted, we over-discounted. So it kind of hurts our impression. We had too many going on, and a lot of these promotional partners were not pushing the zoo in the way that we felt we deserved to be. So we're looking at partners who can really amplify the brand in a way that we want, but still the numbers are down. What exactly happened? It's the weather. So weather is a huge impact. So the two charts here, we are considering and defining a bad weather day as any day that's 49 degrees and or it's raining. Days that you don't want to go to the zoo or really leave the house. Those days in 2017, 42 days fit that bill. In 2018, it was 69 days. Of those 69 days, 25 were on weekends. That's tough. Further, if you average the weekend temperatures, nerding out, the average weekend temperatures compared 2018 to 2017, they were down pretty dramatically in that hard 14 weeks. So it was 16 degrees below what it was in 17. It was 11 degrees below what it was in April. Weather is an impact, and that's something that we're trying to leverage in our advertising going forward. Can we do weather-triggered ads? Can we develop something so that if it's rainy, our media doesn't hit? Coca-Cola has a great data that shows the perfect temperature for when vending sales spike. And after that temperature, if it gets hotter, they actually slow down. So they too are trying to figure out how best can you solve the weather riddle. For 2019, we have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things to promote, and so digital is going to be a big piece of it. A lot of this you already know, Haunt the Zoo. We have Haunt the Zoo Grown Up for adults coming out. Sanctuary Asia is a big push that we have starting next week. It's the expansion. We have a lot of creative going on. Field trips, 44,000 students come to the school, to the zoo in those 14 weeks. A lot of fun. Zoo poo. Zoo poo is we are composting the vegetarian animals' poo into artisanal compost. It's hot. So it doesn't smell. Or true compost doesn't smell. That is available and launching on Earth Day, April 20th. It's really fun. We're actually developing a program in May. It's Glamping 101. If you've always wanted to camp but been afraid, come to the zoo. We're going to teach you one night only. We're looking for a sponsor. But again, it's connecting you with wildlife and wild places. Date night, we're opening up the zoo every Thursday night in June, specifically for adults, not for kids. So we close, reopen, again, to really connect with a millennial audience who doesn't come to the zoo. They went as kids. They come back when they have kids, but they don't come as adults. You should come. There is alcohol. Of course, of course. And then we'll have Zoo Honey in fourth quarter. So there's a lot going on. These events down here are Zoo Friends. So those are memberships. If you're a member of the Oklahoma City Zoo.
What's the Zoo Honey?
Zoo Honey, we are harvesting honey. So we have 4 beehives. We lost one over the winter, and they will generate 75 pounds of honey. So we're looking at harvesting them. They're Italian bees, not native. It's okay. So they aren't as aggressive, stinging-wise, so you might see a lot. They're harmless. All right, so a lot to promote. Digital, how does digital even fit into this? Digital is important for a lot of obvious reasons. Targeting, we can target laser focus with our media. It's super cost efficient compared to some other ways where you have a lot of waste. And technically you're 2 clicks away from buying a ticket. Isn't that ideal? Yes, of course. So let's look at the media spend. Yeah, this is the actual dollar spend month by month of what we spent last year. Overall, it was $260,000 for the zoo. Is that a lot? It's not a lot. But we have to be crafty with our partnerships and other promotions. With less money, you have to be more creative and more daring and do more with your PR. Specifically, what's worth noticing is the amount allocated to digital. 57% of our overall budget was digital. That, compared to other zoos, is stunning. That is a lot of money to put in a digital arena compared to other zoos. But for us, we wanted to try it. And that digital platform, we kind of broke it out here. It's not broken out as explicitly as you would want to see it. A lot of it's social, some is search, very little search. A lot of banner ads, very few takeovers, but mostly social and YouTube, etc. But 57% was in digital. Guess what percentage of overall tickets are purchased online? 2 clicks away. More than half of our budget. 1%. That is a huge problem that we are working on. It's interesting. We've realized that other institutions here in the city, they don't sell their tickets online. Science Museum doesn't sell tickets online. Why? We are not necessarily that big critical mass like a San Diego Zoo or a Bronx Zoo where you want to buy it online in advance just because you want to avoid the lines. The Oklahoma market is a little bit different. We're trying to crack that nut. Also, we charge you an additional fee to buy online. Yeah, we're looking at reinventing this so that we can make a connection between digital and buying a ticket. A lot of hurdles are in the way, but in the meantime, we're actually reducing our digital spend for this year. Going back to tried and true until we can figure this out to buy a ticket. All right, so digital plans, paid and earned. So paid, of course, the social outlets, Facebook and Instagram, travel sites. Tourism is a huge bit for us, including Convention and Visitors Bureau, who's here in the room. Entertainment sites, we go to entertainment sites, including The Lost Ogle, which we find hilarious and brutally honest. And it's an audience that we want to appeal with. Earned media. So this is earned is free media, ways that we leverage our own platforms, our social platforms, our website, press, and e-newsletters. Let's go into details. So Facebook. So this is an interesting ad that we've just purchased. It's going to be rolling out soon. It's promoting Sanctuary Asia. This is the new Carousel ad. In the past, when we bought ads on Facebook, Carousel ads were really doing well. Video ads were doing well. This is pretty intuitive. It's eye-catching. You want to engage, etc. So we're going to test how this new scrolling carousel ad works. I just took screen grabs of how it works. It's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens. They have another one called an instant experience ad. This is a 15-second video of a commercial that will play, and then after it plays, it expands, allowing you to kind of scroll over more. And then at the very bottom is a map of where the zoo is. I don't know how many people are actually going to sit and engage with this, but we're going to see it. We're going to see how it works. Our website and the traffic that comes to that. So almost 500,000 visitors that came to the site, but they only stay for 2.5 minutes. They are there and gone. They want information on what are your hours, what are your prices, where are you, out. They're obviously not buying a ticket here. But the site is pretty rich with a lot of other information that we put in there. Big stories. We have a blog, which we call All Our Stories. Really fascinating stories that are a little bit more complicated about our conservation programs. Reporters read these, and oftentimes we'll post it and we'll get a request for an interview. Awesome. Good to have. The site. So 60% of the visitors are between 25 and 44. That's awesome. That's a valuable audience. 70% were female. These are moms, perhaps. And then 70%, like everybody else, 70% they're viewing and accessing the site on mobile. So if you have a site that does not have responsive design, you need to fix that pretty quick. More information about who is coming from, this is pulled from Google Analytics. 53% are coming from Oklahoma, almost 25% are coming from Texas. That's pretty interesting. If of the Oklahoma piece, Oklahoma City is #1, then Edmond, Norman, Tulsa, Midwest City. So it's pretty, no big surprises here. The pages that they're going to, again, they're getting tickets, visitor information like hours, and the homepage. So 58% are going to these top pages. Haunt the Zoo actually made our top 10. Shows how big the event is. Most of the visits are coming organically. So a lot of the people are just putting in okczoo.org or okczoo.com, and it automatically redirects. That's great. I mean, they know what they want, and they come and they just put it in. Social is also generating 10% of our traffic. Social. Let's talk about social in a second. So 2019, what we're going to do, we're going to have fewer tabs, more succinct information, more video. I don't know if video works. Our site doesn't have a lot of video. We're going to make it a lot more engaging so that besides getting information about when we open, how much we are, you're pulled into a more interesting story and more online ticketing. Social media. So this is a priceless tool for marketing, and we'll explain why. Facebook, these are all numbers that are outdated. This was from 2 weeks ago. So we've grown by almost 1,000 in 2 weeks. But huge growth across all platforms, 2018 versus 2017. So Facebook is up 13%. Instagram is on fire for us. This is, I think it's just for everybody, Instagram is where to be. 50% follows in terms of growth. Twitter is important too. We've dabbled with Snapchat. It takes a lot of time and effort. We've had some success with events. We don't have a permanent presence. It's a time suck. And we already have traffic from other places. In terms of month by month, the impressions that we generated through Facebook, we'll get to this in a second, but cute as king. Kai, the baby elephant that you saw earlier taking a bath, was born in late October, and it spiked. The lead up to it was also Haunt the Zoo, perhaps. We don't know, we think. But cute videos are key. So it matches our actual attendance, March, April, May as well. Instagram, a little bit the same, a little bit. It's growing, ebbs and flows. This was our top post. I don't know if you've seen this, but it is a picture that one of our keepers took of the Sumatran tiger, like right up against the glass. Super cute, super scary, super cute. Again, cute is king. I wish this video could play, but it's, I think, Kai's first bath. So 2,400 engagements last year. Twitter, we have some partial data because we now work with Sprout Social to pull all this information. But again, it's great. Big spikes in the summer, and then it gets a little bit slower. News stories are great on Twitter. Insights for 2019. Again, cute is king, videos are sticky, and followers really do want to engage. The more that we can tell a really deep story, the more that they're sucked in. So the picture on the right is a Facebook Live of an animal exam in our hospital. We do them all the time. We publish them. Sabrina, who heads up our social media, she's in the room with her iPhone, narrating, answering questions. School classrooms are seeing these. They're scheduling around it. They're asking questions. We answer the classroom back. fun technology, a lot of possibilities with this, but it's a window to a world of the zoo that many people can't get when they're at the zoo. It's an interesting conundrum that we have. Press. So we had 96 press releases last year. Oh, it's a lot, generating almost $27 million in ad value. That's kind of stunning for the zoo. This is local and global press. It's kind of not to say the zoo is a PR darling, but we are really lucky. And again, because I think the animals are great and the animal keepers they don't need very much training, they can tell a great story. What's important to note is that $27 million does not include the value of our social media. All those numbers that we saw before, we did not include that ad value. This is, if you looked at the advertising value of the sheer editorial that we got, if we had to pay for it, it's $27 million. Awesome. What are the top stories that we had? Well, we ran the gamut. So remember we had a lion that mysteriously grew a mane, a female lion that grew a mane. Very strange. We did a great story, picked up on that. She did have, I believe, a tumor on one of her glands, and she did die a few months later. That also made the top 10. Actually, it was number 4. So Bridget the lion got a lot of this traction. Did we actively push this out? No. We had a press release, but a lot of the stories, you never know what sort of spark is going to cause the fire. Another good example, the picture at the bottom right, is when the girl has her stuffed toy and she's at the lion habitat and the lion was pawing at the glass. Somebody took it it blew up. Did we intentionally push this? No. So there are some things that are organic that are gifts. We'll take it. But other stories, we have the beehives on site was our number 9. So some of these stories are really going to take off. But what was interesting is that most of these were pulled from our Facebook page. We did a test with the media with a sea lion that passed away. We don't usually do press releases on sea lions that pass. Let's just put it on Facebook to see what happens if we put it on Facebook first. Within the hour, it was on 459 and Fox's website. So Facebook is now becoming your new press room. And the more that you can tell a story with a video or a photograph or a succinct description, that's your press outlet. It's dangerous but it's an opportunity as well. Who reads newsletters? We were surprised by this. So 73,000 subscribers. Our list is divided into 4 different categories. We have members, we have people who have come to camps or classes, we have volunteers, and then we have marketing and PR lists. This is slightly different. It's gone down from the earlier slide. 14% open rate, 7% click-through. That's still great. We love it. There are ways that we can improve for next year. We're trying to figure out how best to get emojis in our subject line because we know that people love emojis. They respond to visuals, not text. So we are working on that. The goal with every visit, of course, is an experience. So this is going to go into our digital philosophy. You are going to the zoo to smell it, to hear it, to walk. You're going there whether you want it or not, to sweat, to buy cotton candy. You can't get that from a digital experience. It's that existential journey you have when you connect with an animal and they see you and you're wondering, like, what does it all mean? What am I doing? That sort of slack-jawed, gobsmacked, staggered. Yeah, that's gold at the zoo. That's the experience we want everyone to have. So when we are approached by digital outlets, like, have you tried this? Does it deliver on that? I don't know. So examples. In the past, the zoo had early technology like the story box. I don't know if you remember this, but there are these little keys that you could buy, and you put it in the little box, and you turn it, and it plays a message. Oh, it's cutting-edge technology. Until the elephant trunk broke, and he jammed it, or water got in it. A lot of zoos had this technology. It was innovative at the time. Okay, whatever. The MoldArama, we talked about this before, also the MoldAramas, before we had gift shops. Technology would come together and make a wax impression. We still have them at the zoo. They're kind of awesome. The smell, my God, the smell, which goes back to the experience. It's great. We rotate the molds and the colors every year. There's collectors, not as hardcore as the penny smashers, but fun. So there's certain technologies that we're a little bit dubious about. We have a zoo app. I'm over the app. Who wants the app? We've had it for 2 years. You download it. We've had 6,000 downloads. People see it, and yeah, it's geolocated, and there's nothing really else there. Besides, you're now focused on your phone and not the experience. Is that what we want? So we have it. We're not pulling it. It's free. You can't download it everywhere in the zoo because we're not entirely Wi-Fi. So pros and cons. Augmented reality. So when Pokemon Go came out, we had a lot of people buy tickets. We did a promotion to get people to come out to the zoo. But at the end of the day, we've had a lot of agencies come to us like, you should do augmented reality. How would that work? Well, you pull out your phone and there's a giraffe. There's a giraffe over there. So what does this do? Well, you have somebody be a spokesperson for the zoo and tell you, you have a caretaker right there that can answer your question. The phone is, today, my opinion, at 440, is the nemesis of the zoo. It gives you an alternative experience. It takes you out of the zone. It is a distractor from you having that existential journey that only vanishing wildlife can give you. That's pretty good. Other things that I actually kind of like, and we haven't cracked it, is a downloadable tour. The zoo is big. We've developed 130 acres. We can't put everything in a sign. People don't like to read. I don't like to read. You probably don't like to read. And if what you do like to read is basically Facebook, short, simple, can we do that in a sign? Can it happen on a tour? That's technology I'd be interested in. If you have headsets and it picks up your location and, oh, you're right by the oldest pygmy hippo in North America, Woolly, to your right. Oh, fantastic. A private tour guide would be awesome. No one's given that to us yet. So overall, this is a bit of a digital conundrum. Technology is important, it's valuable, it's dangerous, it competes. We love it, we hate it. You can earn it, you can pay for it. A lot of it's a big mystery. That whole truism by John Wanamaker of half of your advertising is wasted, you just don't know what half. Digital helps answer that question better, but it doesn't answer it completely. And so for a zoo, like our zoo, like most zoos, they're at a really pivotal point where we're trying to change what our missions were. 50 years ago, I think it's a distraction. Come to the zoo and have an escape. And now we want you to come to the zoo, have an experience, but leave somewhat changed so that you change your behavior. You realize that you should recycle more. Maybe I shouldn't buy X product, I should buy Y product. We want this to be an experience that is a catalyst for you to change your behavior, and digital is a big piece of that. So, any questions? Oh, yes.
I know a lot of your content comes from the zookeepers, photos,
Yeah.
and videos. Do you go through any kind of training with them?
Oh my God. Yes.
Or guidelines?
Oh yeah.
Restrictions?
So social media policy for the zoo is important, and it's changing. A lot of the videos that you see that are really compelling, like there's a video that was placed this week of Woolly, the pygmy hippo, oldest in North America, coming right up. No music, so you can hear his vocalization. That was not taken by anybody else but a keeper who could take that. We are hiring for spring and summer, and as part of our 2-day mandatory orientation is a whole section on social media training, the do's and don'ts of what you can and cannot post. That is so important, but some of the keepers are so excited that they want to show a picture to their friends. This is a picture of an animal that we haven't announced yet, or an animal doing something that could be raise a lot of questions. All of that needs to be funneled through the PR department just to make sure that it's accurate. Maybe we can do a better story, and maybe we can get a reporter to tell that story better. There are a lot of challenges with social media in the park and out of the park. So one of the challenges that we have for employees is that we have to tell them, once you're wearing your uniform and you are in the park, you are on. It's kind of like Disney. You're a performer, but you're on. People have a video and a camera at all times. What you do and say is important and forever being documented, and it has repercussions on the zoo. It's a little bit scary for some people, but I think that they kind of get used to it. But it can backfire. Even when you're outside of the zoo, it's part of the social media training, and that aha moment for our employees is, oh wait, I can say that I work for the zoo and then I kind of get in a fight with somebody digitally. No, that comes back. It's not good. You are a representative for the zoo inside the park and outside the park. Yeah, the rules change all the time. Any other questions? What? Yeah.
Related to that, when you have visitors who are posting social content, do you have ways to track that, such as checking in with location services or advertising hashtags on the exhibits or anything like that?
Good question. So we do scrub our posts. Anybody who posts hashtag OKC Zoo, we naturally see it. There are cases where a photo will come up that has our hashtag on it. And we used to have a live stream on our website, and inside the park on video monitors that just have a scroll of photos that have been tagged OKC Zoo. And then we saw some pictures come across of like, oh my God, like, well, some had nothing to do with the zoo. We've removed that sort of dynamic stream of content, for one. Two, when you're in the park and you're photographing a video, we can't say what you can and can't do. If there's something disturbing or upsetting or off-brand, we definitely figure out what happened so we can figure it out and remedy it. Geolocation inside the park and outside the park, we have not activated it yet. We have been presented with the opportunity, and somebody actually was able to pull a report of people who came to the zoo because they've opted into certain apps, that geolocation, and then they told us where they're more likely to have breakfast, where they had dinner, where they shopped, what is their Monday morning commute, what's their Friday evening commute. This was staggering as a marketer to have, and terrifying. We've opted intentionally not to use any of that data, just because, we feel at this point it would be invasive, and we're waiting for somebody to kind of pop that bubble. There's got to be something wrong with this. I could be wrong. Maybe that's the future. It's going to be marked forever in this videotape where I'm going to eat my hat. Yes?
How does your marketing compare to like other zoos in the area? Are they kind of doing similar as far as putting most of their budget towards digital?
No. So there's a group called the AZA, Association of Zoos and Aquariums. There's 262 across the United States. There are also some in Canada and Mexico. But they do a survey every year. Everybody is self-reporting. The amount of money that's put in digital is usually about 30 to 40%. Almost 60 is a lot. But our marketing budget's kind of small compared to others, but it's also large to some others. So San Diego Zoo, Brooklyn Zoo, the Bronx Zoo, they have massive marketing budgets. Philadelphia Zoo has a huge budget. But for us, it's a lot, but we wanted to, the ethos of the marketing department is fail fast. If you have an idea, go fast. If it doesn't work, move on. That's the only way that you're gonna learn, and I think to the public, it's the only way that you're interesting. You gotta do something new. Every year. But the media spend has got to change too. Yeah.
I'm curious, what's your competitors?
What an awesome question. So we were asked this question before, and after being stymied a bit, the big sandbox of the zoo's competitor is anybody that's giving you an experience. I know that's kind of lame, but is McDonald's our competition? No. But is a restaurant that gives you an experience? Yeah, that would be it. Which one? Frontier City, sure. That's a Science Museum next door is a good one. Whitewater, it's an outdoor recreation for the family, is one.
What about the Rattlesnake Museum?
Which one?
The Rattlesnake Museum?
A rattlesnake museum. That's we've seen it, but that's yeah.
And you referenced the Tulsa Zoo, so I was just wondering, do you use that as a foe or a friend? Or
No.
Or
It's fascinating. Zoos don't really compete with each other. I think Dallas, Fort Worth zoos, they're two that are so close that maybe they do. We all kind of we're inspired by each other's marketing campaigns and promotions, so we steal what works. And there's a chat group as part of AZA. I'm looking for a holiday promotion that works, or this company is pitching this, what do you think? We all compare notes because we all kind of succeed together. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums together is the world's largest conservation organization. I think we raised more than $200 million to conservation programs last year. So together there's a lot more power. I think what's interesting, and I came from cable TV, where it's a very set group and there's partnerships among cable, you work together. The zoos are kind of figuring that out now, that you can work together. Maybe there's a single campaign you can have. If all 262 zoos had the same campaign for the summer, imagine what could happen. It would, if our email list and our membership list was combined nationwide, it would be staggering. But we all have different objectives. Yeah.
Yeah, for vacations and stuff. I mean, everybody's like, what city has a zoo?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge attraction.
Yeah.
Not a, do I go to Tulsa or Oklahoma City? Like, that's an hour and 45-minute difference. So.
Yeah.
I had another question though. You showed the video of the checkups and stuff for the animals.
Yeah.
But what about, do you guys ever show, if caretakers are doing Facebook Live or whatever,
Yeah.
when they go to feed the animals to help educate what kind of food the animals use or eat? Or like some
Yeah.
kind of actual experience?
Yeah.
Do you guys do anything like that?
We haven't done one exactly like that, but one of the great blog stories we had is a story about the catering team, the restaurant of the zoo, and we actually showed like the stats of how much meat and produce we get, the picky diets of some of these animals, and we actually show the plates that we make every day for some of these animals. So you have to name the animal that would eat this. A lot of fun. There's a story, when we put it on the blog, I was surprised that no reporter wanted to do like follow up on this. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Not just the fruit and the produce, but bugs, rodents, and how we get those in live or frozen. It's fascinating. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But
the animals interacting with eating, and so like how they eat, and then the environment. Like,
no, that's a great story. That's interesting. Yeah, we had that idea a long time ago. We're gonna actually, that's a great story. I mean, I'm surprised nobody's asked. We can definitely accommodate that story. Yes.
So your Instagram numbers are growing.
Growing.
Do you worry about who that person is that's following you? Like, because we get a lot of spam people. Is that just a number, or do you choose to unfollow or block or anything?
It's interesting. I know that our engagement rates are pretty high. We've never done a job of scrutinizing where they came from. I know at previous jobs, there was a land rush mentality of like get followers as fast as possible, and you would buy them. So when you do the global heat map, like, why are we so popular in Brazil? We're not even available in Brazil. So we don't have that problem at the zoo. We don't actively buy or acquire followers. The people who follow us, it's all organic that we know of. There are people who do abuse it, people who post their own promotional, I have a donut shop, and they're pushing hashtag OKC Zoo. What is it? They are simply trying to draft off of us. It's not as bad as what other brands have. So it's a pretty clean, scrubbed, it's like Beyonce's Beehive, our followers are on Facebook. What's amazing about having a curated audience who are your fans and oftentimes know your brand better than you do, and have seen the animals more recently than you have, is they're quick to defend. I think a really good example of that is when we had some people who were interested in, open carry at the zoo. There are some people who are trying to advocate and clarify whether or not can you open carry in the zoo or not. Is it a public park or is it a private business? It's a private business, so you cannot open carry. But when this came up, it had headlines. Facebook, go team. They were quick to thank us for clarifying this and making it a gun-free zone. So the more you can cultivate a true fan base, it's the best marketing tool you have, and they give you the best insights. So it does require a brand to kind of let loose. A really good example of this, and not at the zoo, but Cartoon Network at Adult Swim, which I was lucky enough to be a part of. It was before Facebook. So one of the good ideas at that time is, remember, I'm dating myself, on college campuses, record labels would have local promoters. So you would give certain albums to local radio stations and you put up posters like, this album's dropping. We took that approach with TV and hired college reps on like 30 college campuses, 2 at each college. One was creative and one was organized. And we basically said, here's a budget, here are your premiums, market for Adult Swim, these are your 3 general themes. We don't care the date, location, time, theme. Give us a marketing plan, we'll approve it, and then have fun. And they would get paid for performance. They had to send in pictures. That was a risky thing to do, to give college students the total freedom to interpret your brand and go to town. We didn't care, because part of the gist was we owned all their ideas. So some ideas were gobsmackingly brilliant, and others are horrible. And then we realized later, like, actually, that was kind of smart. So it takes pretty daring, a lot of daring and trust to let go of your brand, but if you let it go, your fans will take it for you. So we're taking that to the zoo as well. Let them do the promotion for you. It's free marketing within reason, and you might be inspired. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, just itching. Damn. Well, thank you very much for coming in. I think this was fun. And visit the zoo. How many of you have been to the zoo in the last year? Oh, really? Oh, I'm impressed. Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you.